That's audible activity in the engineered light, while the light source remains over me here at Alvarado Gardens. And this is again on speaker company's watch. This is the third party. This is the malicious means whereby the pattern of conduct is underway by the state of California, and you're subject to it in the workplace. This is impossible light activity, not sunlight. This is the presence of the entity. This is stalking in the path. The same two third parties, and that's the light source that's directly over me where the entity is stalking by helicopter. You're looking at what is maintenance, their voices, they're laughing and talking, they're maintaining presence in the path, and they're creating light activity, and the entity is stalking by creating additional light activity. That's P.O.C. It's currently 10:55 a.m. That's why all 59 units are indeed going to federal prison, and their ongoing documented impunity is speaking to that prolonged term in federal prison. The intolerable criminal system exacted by a government against an American citizen is automatic grounds of federal prison by the government. Okay, such as these law enforcement agencies. You're talking about disbanding Ontario Police Department. Literally, what LAPD is doing is speaking to what the Ontario Police Department already engaged in. They're going to federal prison. They engaged in repeated acts of kidnapping while they were engaged in the pattern of conduct. It indeed is the criminal pattern of conduct. It's intended to obstruct justice and conceal that pattern of conduct. And the Ontario Police Department is going to compete, but there's no competition. But I'm just putting it in terms of the reality of the situation. There is no one that has any sort of contention in court as to, oh, well, this is the natural environment that I'm surrounded by when we happen to be, present in helicopter every day, all the time. But this is nonetheless the sun. They don't have any reasonable contention, and that's literally the substance of the prosecution. Because the setting is within the pattern of conduct by the government. It's the setting, and it's a demonic system. This is terrorism. So the setting where the stalking, that's how you're identifying what is stalking by the state. That's not the sun where the entity is engaging. What is the use of a helicopter to communicate a threat to the one whom they are placing under surveillance. And they're also engaged in what is Title 18 criminal activity. This is occurring in what is the workplace. So Todd Speaker is systematically documented. This is the malicious means whereby his employees are third parties as well. All of the residents that pay him rent are third parties. That's not a coincidence. It's the pattern of conduct. This is what you see at play at places like Starbucks. Okay, third parties that come onto the ground in the name of some business, and they are literally mimicking the same exact demonic behavior. Impossible light activity, presence in the engineered light. It's not innocent. It's not innocent presence under the light source, because the light source has nothing to do with what is ricocheting light all across the asphalt and buildings when you're just moving a vehicle around. And also the documentation of what that light source isn't even naturally present, which is speaking to your condition, both by that engineered light and by the presence of that light source that's over Starbucks as a matter of documentation from 7:50 in the morning until after 6 p.m. It is currently 10:55 a.m. And like I said, I'm just documenting the entity engaging what is communication of a threat. Remember, the entity's intent is to place you under surveillance. They're monitoring on the video of the internet. These are psychopaths that have long lost their implausible form of appearing normal, that it's the figment of the imagination of the target individual. We're well out of that territory. That's the intent to obstruct justice, is what the government relies on while it defames the ordinary target individual. You're witnessing what is that outright vicious form of malice, and you're actually seeing who is mentally disturbed, and that is the government that's exacting this criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring. These are demons that are engaged in what is a matter of public corruption, both the people of the state and the government itself. And you can pick an agency, any agency, pick a branch of government, and it does not change. So, and I've shown that the light source over me at any court, the light source over me at the sheriff's department, the light source over me at any police department, it is the exact same pattern of conduct. And this is a government, and this is speaking to what is the population that occupies in the jurisdiction of California. This is that population. The secret society is dwelling here, engaging in what is a matter of public corruption. And it is centered around a corrupt government in this state. It is currently 10:59 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is documenting, again, everybody at Alvarado Gardens, as you are subject to that psychological torment that a government is inflicting. The people of the state are doing so. Let me be clear. While Jung Pak and Kum Lee are outside engaging in what are activity creation, light activity, relevant positioning. This is that which is inflicting psychological harm to the ordinary target individual. The people of the state engage in what is an outward role of, and this is when they are confronted with what is heavy evidence, speaking to peeling past the surface layer, which the demon possessed rely on. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty, because you see the true character of the people of the state when you're looking at the documentation captured in 2021, engaging in criminal summoning like Starbucks did on more than just September 19, 2021. They engaged in criminal summoning. They even like to invite those officers that engaged in kidnapping. That's how much the people of the state are actually seeking to psychologically torment and threaten the target individual. That's a matter of evidence, okay? But the entity is engaging in what is psychological torment when they are engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring and also outwardly behaving themselves as though they're just having a conversation. I'm just going to do my laundry. I'm even holding my newborn baby. Okay, I'm not concerned with it. That's entirely malicious. The light source is there, the engineered light. Everything that they're doing is activity creation while the entity is engaged in ongoing obsessive conduct with the state communicating a threat. All right. While you're walking your dog, the elements of monitoring are underway in the specific environment while the entity is stalking, okay, by helicopter. Understand the malice of the entity, and it is psychological torture to the ordinary target individual. You're understanding how this malicious system operates, and that is the grounds of federal prison, where all 59 units here are committed to that criminal system. That is an intolerable level of systematic assistance to a government that is threatening your existence. Understand, you don't engage in gang stalking as a government because you just want to bully them for a little while and then you're going to leave them alone. That's not the government's intent. Okay, so I want to be clear. It is indeed a threat to your life while the government is placing you under surveillance for any unlawful purpose. In addition to the demonic methods employed by a government that wants to, again, engage in what are demonic methods in practicing what's the supernatural? Oh, because it's supposed to not only maliciously occur, but also something that is again, the false assumption that it would never be provable. This is what the demon possessed. This is what the secret society assumed. It would never be provable. No court's ever going to hear about it. Not only because they discarded the target individual, but also because of the substance, the nature of the pattern of conduct. Okay, and that's what's speaking to the body of evidence. I've shown you what is the hard facts and the evidence of that which is at its core demonic. You cannot physically see the demonic. Okay, the demon possession, the demonic environment, you're talking about what is a spirit that's operating over people. All right, the spirit that's operating over the government and over the people of the state who are in the shoes of the government, this is going to result in what are physical consequences, and they're going to federal prison because the government's engaging in what is criminal surveillance while they're obsessively stalking an American citizen. It is currently 11:02 a.m. You see all the hallmarks. That was maintenance of presence in the path by 1808 and 1812 to Kun Lee and Jung Pak. Doing so while the entity is again flying over by helicopter. So I just want to make sure that you understand all elements are present. The hallmark remains. It doesn't change while the entity is placing what is a subdued form of the same exact light source. And by the way, like I said, I'm establishing precedent. The ordinary target individual does not have to go years in order to establish the prima facie case, to create what is that irrebuttable presumption of public corruption where the pattern of conduct by a government is underway to initiate that federal investigation. They don't have to do all that. I am taking under what is that seemingly impossible feat of establishing the government is actually doing this. This is a real thing. And it's not some random cult. This is a cult, by the way, but it's not some random cult like you would think, oh, it's in some dark dungeon and they're shedding pig blood. No, it's the government. It's the state. All right. And it's ordinary people who want you to assume that they're disinterested. They don't know you. They rely on all of that. It's called malice. It's called malice. Look at what surrounds them. Look at the environment. Look at their behavior. Look at what also highlights their behavior, very highly malicious. All right. And that's going to result, contrary to what they sought for the target individual to suffer, it's going to result in them going to federal prison and them being subject to mental examinations. All right. It is currently, again, 11:04 a.m. This is P.O.C.